True. Yep.
Oddly enough, we have traveled through time to see you. You
Oh.
understand that that would make you an important human being because because you feel as if time is valuable, time is to be measured, and yet here we are, right here, traveling through time in a moment to be in your space to exchange energy with you. So now time is nothing. Time has now become nothing. It has appeared and disappeared in a moment, just like this. Now
Hmm.
we like to have this sort of conversation with you because you enjoy this sort of arguing and this opposite ideas. So we are saying it is everything and it is nothing. It is here and it is gone. And we wish to explain for a moment why we would begin this conversation in such a way. You yourself have been sitting and waiting. We are speaking of you now. You have been waiting uh, for answers to come through. And you are thinking that they must take time to develop and grow. But in actual the ideas and that you're waiting for are waiting for you. You're
Hmm.
waiting, they're waiting. How is this? How is this possible that you would wait for something and it would be waiting for you? Because that would imply then there's no time lost, there's no time made, nothing has happened. So, what we mean to say is, here we are because you have been waiting for us for years and you
Hmm.
didn't even know about it. And now we showed up right in this moment. But for us, for this energetic exchange, the request has just been as if it's been made right now in this moment. And we are speaking in this way because you have asked questions energetically before your brain could catch up with them. And this
Hmm.
is also why there's no time. Things are asked energetically by humans because the brain is slower. The vocabulary, the method of speaking is slow.
Hmm.
Energy is fast. So your questions have answers before you articulate them, but often it's important to allow you to speak so you hear and your brain acknowledges, yes, this thing has been asked, yes, this thing is complete. We do not allow this exchange is not really about your words, but that is so other human beings can relate to it. This is an energetic exchange, but the words slow it down so the humans can catch up. And
Hmm.
again, this is no time because the ones that are waiting for this question and this answer right now also asked many, many times ago, and they now think they're waiting for the answer, and here the answer is. So, where are these people who have asked this question and this answer? You see, we're making more questions here than answers, but
Hmm.
we're saying that right now the answer is coming out that they have asked, and yet they are waiting. They are waiting for the answer, and yet the answer's here, right at the fingertips. And this is how time eludes you. You're chasing it backwards and forwards, but it doesn't exist because uh, the energy exchange, such as this, happens only for a moment. And then it's frozen in this time and pushed forward and backward for others to find. The other ones who are asking the same questions as you. And you, many years ago, asked this question, and now you feel as if the answer's here, and you waited 15 years for it, and you didn't at all because you didn't even know you asked it until this moment that we are speaking about it. You're
Hmm.
you're you're confused. You're wondering, what did I ask so long ago that I can't recall that I had to wait all this time? And you waited all this time for it because humans are slower in the physical bodies than they are energetically. So you asked, the answer came, it was done, it was completed, but you had to catch up with it. You had to
Hmm.
catch up with yourself.
So is this the energetic self that has asked that question?
Yes. You're
Mm,
you're beginning to understand. You see how you are energy and human, and the energy part of you is much quicker. It
mm,
knows everything. It knows what's good for you, what's bad for you. But the brain and the ego, they are here to have an experience too. They can't be ignored. So they must slow down time so they can keep up with it. It's a game. It's a game that you
mm.
play in your brain. I will slow it down until I'm able to receive the answer. Because when you ask questions, sometimes they're enlightened, but you can't receive the answer to an enlightened question until you yourself are enlightened enough to hear it. So you ask, the answer comes, and you say, better put that away for a while. I will get it in some other time. But you see,
Ah,
the answer came first, and you slowed it down so you could receive it at a later time.
that's right. Now, just to clarify, is my energetic self, is it the one that's not able to receive the answer, or
Oh,
is it my conscious mind that's not able to understand
yes.
it?
We consider your higher energetic self and your mind and ego and body as two separate things coexisting during a time. And now we are speaking of you only because you are representing all of the other humans who themselves have asked questions they weren't able to receive the answer for, even though the answer's in front of them. So they waited for time to pass, and it comes back again to the same question, and they go back. They're going back in time to receive the answer now. So it is not just you specifically, it is mankind. Now, who would ask a question that you are unable to receive? That is your higher self. That's your higher self because it wishes to be one with the others. So most of the questions asked that cannot be received is, where's my place in existence? So you wonder about it. Your higher self and your energetic self always wonders, do I belong here? What should I do? Where do I belong? All of these things. But yet you cannot handle the answer because the answer is always the same. You are one energetically with others. You barely exist. You are having a bit of time and entertainment, but you yourself are just a drop in the bucket. And humans cannot take that information. They cannot the physically understand how you could be less important than you are because your mind and ego think you are the only important thing that exists on the earth. You see?
Mm,
So then you would have a crisis of mind and ego and your energetic self. They would have a crisis. And that is not the intention of your human experience. Your human experience is to have the two come together, to have some sort of sometimes evolution, sometimes play, sometimes devolution. That's not really a word. Sometimes you go back, sometimes you go forward, sometimes you live, sometimes you hate life. All of this makes up the human life. So sometimes the energetic self is involved and sometimes the physical self, and they go back and forth, but they must coexist. So questions are asked energetically that the mind cannot handle. So it is waiting for you to move forward enough to receive it.
It just, from your description, it just makes me want to connect even more than to my energetic self, because I'm don't feel I'm having any sort of crisis with this information that you're presenting. It sounds, it sounds quite plausible, but I'm trying to, I guess I would like to feel or have that sense of understanding and that connection to knowledge and to my other part of myself that I have no awareness, absolutely no awareness to, other than perhaps intuition.
Yes, you do, because that is why we're having this energetic exchange. We don't speak to those who are not evolved. You would turn off your hearing. You would not hear this. This would not be happening. You
Mm,
yourself are a seeker, and those who are listening, that are prodding you forward to ask questions for them, are also seekers, gentle seekers. They don't want to
mhm.
jump right into it. They don't want to be meditating on the top of a mountain. No, no, no. They are slightly interested in integrating their physical and their spiritual or energetic self. And that's why you are involved in this. You are gently, very gently and slowly moving forward in this way. Humans don't always want
Ah,
these crashing of belief system. They don't always want a crashing. Some want a gentle, just a little bit, because you're afraid of high evolution. Oh dear, what would be left of you? You have to give up all
uh,
your your beautiful self and all of your belongings. You see, humans have this notion that evolved spiritual humans are a certain way. They sleep in the outside with no clothes on, and they pray on the top of the mountains. You've got certain notions of spiritual beings. So this is an easy place for you to tease it out, can
Are
it?
those notions correct?
About that they are more evolved spiritually?
Well, yeah, it does. If you give up, like I'm thinking of the monk's existence, where you give up all worldly possessions and devote your life to meditation in a cave for numbers of years in order to seek enlightenment. People have chosen those paths, and I mean, maybe that's their belief system, that's their choice, but is that the true path to evolution, or is this sort of more gentle approach, as you're suggesting, a better way for it to unfold? I don't know. That's what.
We will tell you. This gentle approach includes all mankind. The discipline you're speaking of are for personal individuals, a small amount of individuals. But the reason we brought that up was because it is such a separation between us and them, and this is incorrect. The correct notion is that you are a spiritual being, you are an energetic being, you are a human being, and you may be all of these every day in your life, no matter where you find yourself. You do not have to go inside of a building and stay in there all by yourself all day long. You yourself, you and
Hmm.
those who are involved in this are all spiritual beings. You do not have to look a certain way or act a certain way to be some. So, this is what this energetic exchange is about. And we will say one more important thing is that you all wish to share energetic love, to allow it to flow through you out to the others, all of you. So, in that case, you are all spiritual monks, you'd say.
Hmm. Well, there you go. So I have absolutely no fear or resistance to anything that you're saying with that. So if that's the case, why am I not more aware of my energetic self and the discussions that are going on with the universe on a conscious level then?
Why would you say you're not in touch with your universal self when you are sitting here right now having this discussion and it is easily being absorbed inside of you? Which is what this energy is about. This energy is allowing love to flow right into your inner being. We're not talking to your brain and ego. And your inner being, your higher self, is laughing like a small child at this exchange. It's so excited. It's the most wonderful thing that's happened to you for a while. This exchange,
Hmm.
energy. There's no words you need to learn. You can leave your brain out of it. This is love, you being overflowed with love and you coming
Hmm.
to be comfortable with it. And as you become more comfortable with love living inside of you, then it flows out of you to the others. And then you're your highest, truest spiritual self. You allow love to pass in and out. But at first, it must make itself at home. It must make it cozy in there. So it's now at this exchange going into you and making a little cozy place for itself. So there's nothing at all about you that is not a spiritual being.
Hmm.
Not at all. You are an average human who knows there's something else going on that you're not quite aware of, but you sense. You have a sense there's something just beyond the peripheral. And this
Hmm.
is your spiritual self. This is your curious state of wonder, which truly is the spiritual self. Curiosity
Hmm.
about what's going on around you, there's nothing more beautiful than this. This is a spiritual evolution for mankind and for you. So for you to say you're not enlightened, oh, don't say this at all. It is absolutely incorrect because you are allowing this love energy to pass into you right now.
Hmm. Okay. I guess I'm maybe just my expectation of it being more of a profound connection or some kind of
Well,
revelation or
it it
understanding,
is your
as
most
opposed.
natural self. Your
Hmm.
natural self lives in the universe of love the longest. It's where it exists. It's where it finds home, it's ease and peace. There's absolutely nothing weird about it or unusual. It's your home. Right now, you're
Hmm.
just visiting on the earth and having some fun. But when you're not here, you're there. That's where you belong. So it's absolutely natural. It doesn't have to be anything weird or extreme. It's your state of being.
Absolutely. Okay, I understand that. So is the fact yeah, I'm just asking questions to understand this better. Is the fact that I don't like when I meditate, I don't seem to get those deep connections and that information or that bliss state and connection, feeling of connected to all. I don't believe I've ever experienced that in a meditative state. Yet others can do it quite easily. And you said, well, it doesn't mean, this was very early on. You said, well, you're asking for gifts and the fact that we had this, and, I'm asking for more, and I should consider myself perfect as I am. So I
Yes,
thought,
it's
okay,
absolutely
well,
true. You quoting us?
yes, exactly. So
Perfect.
I'm trying to make sense of it all, right? And say, okay, well, I can accept that then. Maybe I'm not supposed to have the connection for some reason that I don't understand. So you kind of perked my ears when you said that, well, other people, I'm going through this experience to demonstrate
Yes.
this growth to others. So is that the real reason
Ah,
why
ah,
I'm not
not growth.
expecting?
Oh, not growth. That's not a word
No?
for you. That's your brain talking. Growth. That sounds
Okay.
like human word, doesn't it? I must have some growth in this area. Very human.
Hmm.
What we are saying is your natural state is one with connection. When you can chill out and stop thinking that I must do this and they've told me I must do that and all of this business, you'll relax back to your normal state. You're trying to become something as if you're not this thing already. Do you see? This is the mind getting involved in it. Well, we can study that and we will become that. It isn't that at all. You are already this. You are already meditative. You like this word? We're going to use it for a moment. You are already at ease with the unknown. For you, your meditation might look different than the others have that you have described that go and sit and meditate and all this. You are not them. You are you, and most of you are like you. And it's not necessary for you to sit and om and meditate and all of this, just like you have envisioned in your mind. For you, meditation will be like this. I believe I feel at ease right now. Just this moment, I feel there's nothing to worry about, and I feel very relaxed. My body is very calm. My heart is slow. My breathing is easy. I feel as if everything is perfect right now. There's nothing for me to worry about. For you, that is meditating. That is a moment. And that is what you need. That's all you might get for a while. This
Hmm.
moment in time where your body remembers it's part of an eternal system of love.
Hmm.
It's a remembering, it's a returning. It's not a discipline or anything you need to read or be taught. You don't need to be taught how to be your truest self. Your truest self exists inside and it knows what you need. At times, you just need to remember everything is in balance and you are moving easily through your place in the world. And this does not have to be done in any disciplined way. It may be done just like this. Now, did you feel at ease and comfort when we are speaking these words and having this energetic exchange with you?
Yes, I feel very relaxed and yeah, yeah, there's a sense of calm, I guess. I was reflecting on what you're saying and thinking, well, when I will walk my dog every morning, and it's been quite a blessing to have this animal in our life. And I feel often feel a sense of gratitude of just walking through the woods with the dog
You are.
and being healthy to be able to do that and be living in the place in the world where we live. And, I feel like it's important to share that gratitude, and I'm hoping I can project that out to others.
Aha, yes. Because now it turns out you're a master meditator and you thought you were not a moment ago. Do you see the difference now? It's drawing
Hmm.
attention to it and realizing, oh, I actually am a meditator. If you like this to use this word, and some humans do, now you are one. Now you are a
What?
meditator. You're connected to the universe of love because you feel peace and ease. And when you feel peace and ease, you're in another state. You're in
Hmm.
an energetic, balanced state. There's no fear, anxiety, there's no outside worry. It's a state of blessed union with the universe, with all that exists. So when you are sitting in a place of ease and bliss, your energy goes out to others. You don't have to do anything. You stay in that place of ease. It travels out because love is energy and it goes where it needs to go. So,
Hmm.
you, the great meditator, when you're sitting in this place of gratitude, you are meditating and allowing love to flow through you and out. It's not your brain that is doing this, it's your connection to the universe of love, and you're settling into your highest, truest self. Your brain is not about gratitude and peace and ease. Your higher self is.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I feel like I can do that quite comfortably, and I make a point of trying to acknowledge that through the day when I go on those walks, and just be grateful for where we are. Because I had another discussion I wanted to talk about hope in the future, but let's just leave that for a moment. Um, so, following on that point, then earlier in the videos or the conversations we had, you talked about me connecting to my history as an inventor and to be able to allow those ideas to come through. So is that a different state, or is there something different that I would need to do in order to
Absolutely,
connect to that
absolutely,
information?
absolutely not. So your
Hmm.
the phase that you are at is one of peace and ease. You see, everything slows down. All of a
Hmm.
sudden, everything is open to you. During those moments when you are sitting like in this place, everything's open to you. So now, as you lift your head up and get away from, I am grateful for this street, for this dog, for this clothing, and lift yourself above gratitude, because this sense of ease and peace happens even if you have no dog and no home and no street. This is a state of being. It's
Hmm.
not attached to physical belongings or place.
Hmm.
This
Hmm.
is something higher. So beyond the gratitude is the first stage of it though, because you're easing away from yourself and raising yourself higher. So
Hmm.
as you go, as if you have your head in the clouds, you may envision this. So as you have your head in the clouds now, you begin to look around in this place of ease and comfort. Huh, is there anything beyond this, behind that cloud? What's over there? Now you're curious. See? So you move from gratitude to peace and ease to curiosity. When you get to your curious state, you may start seeing figures or shapes or words or pictures. And you now, again, being in your curious state, you start looking at it and you can pick up a piece of paper in the clouds, pull it towards you, and try to read it because now you're in a curious state. Now you've forgotten you're human walking your dog. Now you're in the clouds looking around. What else is here? I see this paper. It has some designs on it. What else? Who is that? It looks like a human being. They're all shaped. What is their face like? You see? This curious state takes you to another place of
Hmm.
time travel, you might call it, because you like to label things, but it's actually the same moment. But you yourself are evolving. You're becoming more than your physical being. So as you come to understand this more and more, that there's a larger part of you that's energetic than human, because most humans at this point think they're more human and a little bit energy, but you're all energy and a little bit human. And as you easily, it's not any effort. You don't have to like look really hard because everything vanishes then. If you're at ease with looking in the clouds, just see what you can see. Oh, or see what you can smell. It smells like flower or something. You see, it's a
Hmm.
different way of moving through the world.
Hmm.
It's a different way of existing. And you don't easily leave behind your mankind notions and ideas because you have firmly planted them in your brain. So it's not easy for you to do this, but it's possible for you to return to your natural state, which is of ease.
Hmm. Okay. That's very helpful. Thank you. I've read a lot of different things about meditation, and everybody has a different take on it and different breathing practices. And
That is human
there's,
ideas of it, yes?
yes,
Yeah.
well, but then you wonder, well, is it got to be this way or that way in order for things to occur? So it's what you're explaining sounds a much more natural, organic way
Yes.
of doing it versus taking a structured, rigorous, disciplined approach to it. Like
That sounds like the
one,
brain and ego. Brain and ego
mm-hmm,
loves structure and words and
yeah, no,
black and white.
that aligns very well. Thank you. Yeah. So it's wonderful. The things you're talking about are all tapping on things I've got on my agenda of things, points I wanted to ask you about this evening. So that's quite miraculous. Um,
And yet it's not miraculous, is it? It's an energetic exchange, and you called out for questions, and the answers arrived.
it just so completely supports that whole idea. Exactly. Yes, because all the things you talked about are exactly what I was wanting to tackle a bit here tonight for this evening. Um, let's just touch on energetic time again, because we started the conversation on that, and then we got went a little off onto other topics. Coming back to energetic time, we talked about in the last interaction about moments of time or human lives and the concept of a film strip, and then energetically you can witness all of these things as one assembly, let's say, rather than individual lives. Um, how do now? I'd like to touch on future possibilities. So we're going through life as past lives, and as a sequence, and the energetic self is witnessing these various past lives, and we're going through this human evolutionary cycle that you talked about. How how does it going into the future, how is that different? Like, I understand we talked about this a little bit, where going into the future we're only witnessing one possibility at that moment in time, right?
Yes.
So
Why are we going forward in time? Why do you wish to go forward?
because not that I'm wishing to go for it, I'm just trying to understand the concept of time and how it changes. Because in the past time I can understand as being moment to moment to moment in a linear fashion, much like we have time here. Now, I'd like to the future time is intriguing because it takes a twist, because now all of a sudden we introduce the possibility of multiple outcomes with various probabilities associated with them. So it's like it forks, right? So we can have these into these linear experiences. Now all of a sudden we fork off going forward, and it could be left or it could be right, but there's more probability of us going right than left. You follow
Absolutely
my?
not.
No?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
There would be
So
no absolute reason why you would turn one way instead of the other.
so going forward, you said there's multiple possibilities. Can we
Oh,
talk about
yes, of
that?
course.
Possibility and probability going forward then?
We don't use the second word at all. That's ridiculous. That's some human notion that you,
Probability, okay.
yes, you've gotten that out of some textbook somewhere. So what we would speak of is your life is lived moment by moment. In
Hmm.
this decision at this time, right now, in this energetic exchange, you would decide one thing for the next moment. You would
Yes.
not decide in this moment what you want for tomorrow, the next year, the next year, the next year, because you absolutely do not know what you will feel, what you will think, or who you will be, or if you will be in human body at that point. So there is absolutely no future. You'll only have this moment, and it is chosen each step. So let us explain. If you were to come to this road at this moment, if you will come to this road, it really doesn't matter at all whether you go one way or the other. Both are full of adventure, connection, and disconnection. So, whichever one you choose, it doesn't matter. If you decide to choose this one and you take one step forward and you live in that moment and you look around and you say, oh, that's pretty good. I go one more moment, stay in it. You can also decide, do you know what? I think I'm going to go down the other one. And now you may reverse moment by moment and change your mind and go to this one. And at this moment, you go step by step, moment by moment. And again, you could also switch to another branch that you didn't see before because it wasn't there 2 steps ago. Or you may jump into the river because that wasn't there 2 steps ago either. So you can only live your life moment by moment because you can't see at all what is behind the next tree or around the next rock. Do you understand what we mean?
Oh, exactly. And and that's the dilemma. I guess I think we do. Or I certainly plan forward, thinking, okay, next week I'm going to do this, or in 5 years I kind of like to drive my what I'm doing in order to be able to get to a certain point 5 years down the road. Strategic planning, we would call it in a business
We may
context.
discuss this if you like.
Oh, okay.
This absolute planning is done
Yes.
to relieve your brain and ego are behind the planning because
Hmm.
they sense anxiety in you. Humans are anxious all of the time and afraid of something that doesn't happen. So your brain says, "Uh-oh, my body's feeling fearful and anxious. I'm going to make up a tale that will keep them quiet and calm their body down." It's not the truth at all, but I'm going to make this thing up. So I'll make up a story that will calm the body down. This is using your brain and ego to make up a story to calm your body down instead of connecting yourself to calm your body down. You see, you're giving away the responsibility to brain and ego instead of to your higher energetic self. If you were commenting to your higher energetic self, I'm very anxious, I'm fearful, I don't know what's going to happen, your energetic self would say, boy, you're very afraid right now. Boy, that's not feeling very good, is it? It feels awful. You don't like it. All right, well, we're going to sit in it for another moment just to make sure you've got it all settled. You still feel bad. You feel worse than before. All right, we're going to have to sit in that. And this is going to be a few moments now. We're going to sit here. Now you're going to yell. All right, fine. Now we're still sitting in it. You're going to cry now. Sit, sit, sit. Anger, sadness, sit. And it dissolves. When
Hmm.
you sit in it, it dissolves. All it wants is some attention. It wants to know that it's that it's important. Feelings
Hmm.
are very important to humans.
Uh,
Not making up stories for the future to instead of resolving the feeling. So now this feeling that you would not have sat in with is gone forward. So now in whenever this thing comes up and it doesn't really come up because it's a made up story and it's impossible, now the fear and anxieties move to there. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's just gotten bigger and moved forward. You see? So it's never resolved if you keep moving it forward with more plans for the brain and ego. It's only resolved when you sit in the uncomfortable state of humankind. What do you think of that now? You probably hate that idea.
no, I'm relating to a couple of things. So I think in order to deal with the emotional trauma that we might experience from an event, what you're saying, it makes a lot of sense. But I think you still need to take steps to try to avoid the event. Like eh, um, I think back to a time in my life where I had severe emotional trauma, and it was a point where uh, we would have gone bankrupt. Like we had got we made some poor financial decisions because we trusted somebody we shouldn't have.
Maybe
And
interrupt here. We're
sorry,
going to ask you a very simple question.
yes.
We'll interrupt this story. What is wrong with trauma? Oh,
Oh,
that's a juicy one, isn't it? Humans avoid trauma as if it's the worst thing. They would rather die than face trauma. But what
well,
if the trauma were actually a turning point in people's lives? What if they were actual human experience? What if it was just really real? Without a judgment of good or bad. What if it just was what it was and you're able to sit in it?
Well, I guess I look back again, and maybe I'm looking at it through a human perspective, but I'm saying, okay, I got into this situation that was very uncomfortable. And because of the implications of that, it would have had major detrimental effect to my family.
And you jumped.
Um,
You jumped
I'm
out of
sorry.
the trauma. You jumped
Well,
out of the
it
trauma and anxious feeling. We're going to give you a second scenario here. If you had sat in the trauma, anxiety, and all of this,
yes.
your mind would have cleared and you'll be able to see something you couldn't see when you're sitting in a state of anxiousness and making decisions in the state. When you are calmed down after sitting in trauma, which people don't like to do, but after comes a great calmness because you understand you're more than this moment. And when you lift yourself up in the clouds, then you see the options.
Uh, well, that wasn't what happened to me. What happened to me was I lost 30 pounds in 6 weeks, and I figured I was going to die.
You are
And
internalizing the anger
I
and
I was just I couldn't get out of that trauma of the event, but I was thinking ahead, using that analytical mind to plan a different path to get to exit out of this situation we were in.
yes.
And the world came together, the universe assisted, however you want to describe it. A miracle happened, and we
Aha.
managed to achieve that plan to exit the situation. And then then the trauma left. Once I had my escape plan and it unfolded, then I was able to let go of the trauma. But I feel like I was 2 weeks to a month away from death
And
at the
you
time.
say, let us point this out. It's very important. You say a miracle happened. Was that man made or from the universe? Do people,
I
humans,
think it was from the universe because circumstances came together that
that were
were
unusual?
highly improbable that it would happen without on in any given day.
So let us reframe this for you. Do you think because you understood or felt that a miracle happened and you were not alone and the universe was there for you, your anxiety was relieved? Or do you think some financial human matter was solved and your anxiety was relieved?
I think it was a combination of both. I think it was
You are,
I
re-
managed
you
I
are really,
managed I
yes.
managed to actually pull a deal together that allowed us to go down a different path. But I also think there were other hands at work that allowed it, that worked with us to make it occur.
Something beyond you,
Something
beyond
beyond me,
you.
absolutely. And
Yes.
that's exactly why I'm having this discussion tonight, and where I'm in this mental place, I think, is because I made the deal and said, well, if you help me get out of this, and I will give back, because then I will be in a
Ha ha
place
ha.
to do
You
that.
were always going to give back because it's
Uh,
your nature. You
well,
are giving,
perhaps, but
loving creature.
that felt like a sacred contract to me at that point, because I literally 2 weeks from death.
Yes.
I was extreme stress. I was the 10, 11 out of 10 on the stress scale at that point. So, the physical body just can't handle that kind of stress in a prolonged way without expiring. So I knew I
Well,
was going down that path, and I didn't need somebody to tell me that. So when
yes.
I look at that, it's like back to probabilities. I'm in this extremely stressed state. I can't bring myself out of it, no matter how much I try and calm myself. The only solution is finding an answer to the situation that we were experiencing at the time. And when that came about, then my stress level came down. But
Yes.
otherwise, it's just like watching yourself die. I was watching myself die, going, I know my heart can't withstand this amount of stress every day.
Do you see how you speak in a second person as if you were watching yourself? This is your vibrational self watching your human self become insane.
Mm,
Do you see
mm-hmm,
how you even speak of it? You are not exactly always aware that you already are a spiritual being and you've acted this way for a long time. You watched yourself expire. You
mm-hmm.
almost expire. That means there's something else higher outside of you that's watching. You're looking down upon your body. That's your higher loving self, as if it's ready to leave if you wish to. It doesn't really care. So it is this whole experience that you are speaking of was a spiritual experience. It's what men call out for. Are you here? Do you care? Are you involved with mankind? Are you available when I need you? This is a perfect example of you crying out and giving up physically, and then your higher self is able to do some work.
Mm. Well, I hope we can have a better relationship that we don't ever have to get to that point again because it was very uncomfortable.
Well, let us hope then.
Yes, yes. So back again. It's very wonderful. How are we doing for time? I don't want to
There
overstay
is a bit
our.
more time left here.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to the point about being time being possibilities but not probabilities. So so is it when we talk about time travel, is it possible to go forward then and look at a future life if all things are lived in the moment?
And why would a human being wish to go forward? Yes, we're not answering a question. We're asking you another question for you to
Yeah.
understand your intention with asking this question. We want to know why you would wish to go forward. You or anyone, really.
Well, then we get to get some sense of what's happening in the world and how things would change. It's an
Change.
awareness, an understanding how things would change.
And why would they need to change?
They don't need to change, but it's like, all right, if if I knew, let's say, that all of a sudden where I lived was going to experience a massive flood or some kind of major catastrophe and didn't exist anymore, I would say, oh, maybe I should think about relocating then so I don't experience that issue.
So avoidance. You see what's happening here? These words that you're saying and attitudes you're
Hmm.
putting forward. You're trying to avoid the present moment.
Well, that's one option. Another thing could say, oh, back to your point about connecting or bringing inventions forward, if I can look forward and see an invention, then maybe I go, oh, maybe that's something I really need to try to put some energy to bring through and allow to come
And
into fruition earlier.
yes, if you were to go forward, take an invention and bring it back now, time
Mhm.
would be altered and that invention would no longer exist in the future. So what would be there? A hole. And now something that else that was going to invented back here is now no longer invented because this has replaced it.
Oh, but I thought
Understanding
when
your
we were talking about this concept, you had said that all of these ideas were there throughout time in order to be brought forward at any moment.
the ideas that are floating in the universe of love is different than the future of mankind on the earth.
Ah,
This
I thought like when you said great inventions, okay, I was understanding those as be human-oriented inventions. Maybe I misunderstood
are
your
you speaking of
insert
human?
insertion.
Let us explain what you're saying. There are humans who were inventors in your time on your earth before.
Hmm.
They have invented things in their brain. That's all concept, but we're not
Hmm.
able to make them physically because the things were not around them. The things were not. They were not. They did not have access to them. But
Hmm.
nonetheless, they found the information, took it out of the inventive atmosphere, and brought it forth to design a thing. This information, when the inventor has passed, goes back into the inventive stream. This inventive stream, this is the one you're interested in, so we'll speak of it. You are able to access that yourself just as you did, uh, just as we spoke of when you are leaving your body, you're happy with your human ease, and you're going up into the clouds and taking a peek around to see what you can find. When you have this easy feeling of, I wonder what's up here, not give me that thing that I want, not that. That is absolutely cutting off energy. But when you're sitting there, oh, what's this? What's that? Naturally, things will come to you that you're interested in. You're not going to see some a bird or something that you'd have no concern for. But as you sit in a place of ease and not a greed, fear, and anxiety, but a place of openness, willingness, curiosity, all is available to you. Does this explain what we mean? We never mean for you to go forward because that's not your business. But go back because the humans have already passed. The ideas are what are floating around now because ideas are energy.
Hmm.
It is not just inventors, it is all the creative folks, the singers and the painters, all of these creative folks put so much energy into their ideas that they became solidified in a way, and now their energy has moved forward. But you yourself have access to it when you are able to. Mm, uh, we're going to say it this way: when you what you do not seek, you will find. But if you seek something specific and you want to get your hot hands right on it, it rejects it and goes further and further away. This is just the law of energy. When you easily say, "Oh, come to me if you're interested in me. Come to me if you're easy like this," information comes. Do you understand this notion?
Okay. All right. Yes, I can follow that. I'm not aware that it's happened that way, but it's a different way of trying to call it in. So that's good. That would explain that. Okay. Hmm. So when we take somebody forward into a life, this much like we time travel into the past, we can travel forward. Is it?
Ah, yes.
I understood it was just a possibility that might occur, but there could be other things that might happen in, like at this moment. You explained in this moment in time we can go forward, and it's a possibility at that moment in time. But if we went forward at a different moment, something entirely different could happen. Is that still, am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, this is absolutely true because all of the circumstances of a life are not in order because other human beings and events that happen affect your decisions also. So if you are going to go one way and not the other, and all of a sudden the tree now is burnt and on fire,
Hmm.
you're not going that way. Now you're obviously going this way and you're going to circumvent around. So something now has removed this option from you, which is
Okay.
something external that happens to it.
Right. Okay. So I take from that then, just to summarize, then going forward, anything can happen. There's no possibility. There's no probability to it. It's just a world of possibility going forward,
Absolutely.
depending on how different things interact. Okay. Now let's just hold that thought for a second. Now let's look at something like in Eastern philosophies. The Dalai Lama is a very sacred individual who is supposed to be at the highest level of of enlightenment, let's say, and evolution, and as this pinnacle of example for others to follow. And in choosing the Dalai Lama, they consult astrological charts of various individuals. Like it's a sort of a divine connection in the way it's explained, and he can actually, they have to pass certain tests that prove that he has an incarnation on this lineage. So is there any truth to that, or is that just all man-made structure in order to select this individual as their leader, if you will?
We will ask again a question. Is it important for there always to exist a leader for this group? Is there often
Uh,
also no leader?
um, I think it
Probably not.
is it is like Buddhism is a form of religion, but people I think can practice Buddhism without a leader, but in their sense, they have a leader that is kind of this pinnacle person called the Dalai Lama. But I'm really getting at the fact that, in order for him to be selected, there's this understanding that people can project into the future that he is the person. So there's this planned lineage that's come forward, and I'm just throwing that out as an example of something that is very a fundamental part of Buddhism, yet seems to fly completely 180 degrees in what you're saying here. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding your message.
We're not sure if you are understanding completely what you're speaking of, but we will make several comments on this. One is when there are humans who are evolved and connected with the universe of love, humans always go to them because they feel they are not the same. This is the problem with leaders, if you wish to use this word. You're
Mm-hmm.
implying you're different than me and I can learn something from you because I'm not as evolved as you. And yet, really, you are. Every human being has the same potential, if they wish to be, to allow the letting go to connect with the universe. If you are choosing not to be, but you're choosing, I will follow someone else instead of becoming enlightened myself, that's your decision to make as a human. You don't want to do that. You want to do this. So always along these groups that you speak of that go to others for enlightenment, you are you are always making a choice to be less than. You see, because if each of you is the same, you have the same access, you are the same perfect human being as the next. Why would there be a leader that you would revere or that you would look to for questions which are absolutely inside of yourself? This is the true question here. It's not all about the dynamics of human rules and regulations. What we say is, you know everything yourself. You are perfect. You have access to all of the information. So there truly are no spiritual leaders. What do you think of that now?
Well, I think like in Christianity, Jesus Christ is revered as uh, the Son of God, as like that's the terminology, is the Son of God, as a divine being that came out to the earth in order to set an example to others, and the scriptures were written on how his life. I think that's where the Bible, the
Yes,
elements of it came from, was the witnessing to his life and his actions as a leader to others, as an example. So is that not a good form of leadership? Or um
a good form of leadership.
well,
This human being understood that they were perfect. You don't seem to. So
huh,
this is the only difference.
is that the only difference, is just perspective?
Yes,
And yet he was able to perform incredible miracles, or as was
as
reported.
are you.
Hmm.
Do you not understand that all of these leaders you speak of have said the exact words we have just said? That they are not special, they're the same as you, that you are the same as them? They've all said it.
Yes, that's true. He says that you can yeah, that's right, as in the scriptures, that you can perform the same, essentially the
They're
same
not
things that he did, but
absolutely.
nobody's ever been able to rise from the dead in the same way that Jesus did. Moses parted the ocean, and that's never been done since that I'm aware. Hmm.
And yet you're all the same. So there's a great deal of evolution and letting go and understanding who you truly are between now and moving water. You have a lot of space in there to evolve, but you can absolutely be the same evolution. If this is the word you choose to use, it is really being in connection with the universe of love.
The connection, yeah. Well, that's why I think about evolution as being this, developing this connection, as obviously that's where the power is coming from. It's not within the person themselves, it's
Yes,
connecting to something beyond, right?
yes.
Hmm.
We will be needing to complete this uh, exchange. Are you comfortable? Are you complete?
Um, yes, I guess the last thing I had and maybe could just be a parting comment, if we may, is I felt, I was thinking about what should we talk about next, and I felt a message of hope might be really helpful for people, because right now people are, um, we're deep into this COVID crisis now for a year. and that's and we're still struggling to try to see the end of that with vaccines and getting people to deal with that. But it's created economic havoc for people. It's created an incredible amount of stress in people's lives. We have, craziness going on in the United States right now with mobs attacking democracy and the the government structures. So I think people are having, in general, an incredible amount of emotional stress right now. And I just wondered, maybe you can give a message of
Well,
how do we see ourselves coming out of this?
first we will say this is the normal state of mankind. You're just hearing about it a little bit more. This is the way mankind has evolved as humans. This is the way you've lived on your life during one crisis. When that's done, there's another one. Sometimes they overlap. That's the way you have chosen to exist on your earth, to have crisis, so you feel alive, so you feel as if you have decision-making process, so your brains are actively involved in one crisis. Which crisis should I go? This one, that one? There's so many to choose from. I don't know which one I like better. This is the
Hmm.
nature of mankind. So you're just picking and choosing at this moment which one to focus on, because when it's complete, there'll be something different. This is just the way it has been for all of your time on the earth. You can take this word for that, that's
Okay.
the way you've existed.
Hmm.
So when you are speaking of this word hope is, it is also, again, you'll begin to despise us saying this, but this is a human word. It's not the word you're really looking for. What you're looking for is, how does the divine being within me exist during this time and all times? How do i how do i show up as a divine being? How
Hmm.
am I to present myself in the most loving way? This has nothing to do with a crisis or hope. This is your normal state of being. You may show up every day in this way, no matter what's happening, no matter what's happening with you, around you. It doesn't matter, because inside of you, you know that you come from a place of love. It is your home. And in this home where you live, you are with all of the others that are existing now on the earth. And some part of you deep inside understands you're all connected vibrationally, and vibration is love. So you're all gathered together in love, even if it looks like crisis, or no matter what the human looks like, they are your loving brothers and sisters.
Hmm.
This is the awakening. This is the sense of knowing deep inside of you that you're all the same. So, therefore, there's no need for hope. You are hope. You are love. You are walking energy. You have great connection to the universe. You have great connection to all that has ever been. So, you yourself are precious to the earth, just as your neighbor is, who is causing a crisis, just as your sister is, who is making false statements. You are all connected together in love. This is your highest state and your most natural state.
Hmm. Well, it doesn't seem like everybody is. It's a wonderful message, and I think that's great to reflect on that. But it doesn't seem like we're performing very well as loving brothers and sisters with what's going around on in the world right now.
You have never have existed as loving brothers and sisters while you're on
Mm.
mankind. But this evolution, this energy is interested in it. And this is new. This is why
Mm.
there's hope for mankind. They're more and more interested and curious about whether you're truly brothers and sisters in love or not. This is a
Mm.
higher state now. Now you're moving into another evolution.
Mm.
All
Well, we
right.
need to do something different. But thank you very much for those
We
messages and
have
those
spoken,
words.
and we have spoken to you as one person makes a difference, and one person makes a difference, and one person makes a difference. Your world changes. So as
Mm.
you become at ease and stick your head in the clouds, and the others do, all of a sudden you see something different. The world's a different place.
Mhm. Let's give thanks and be grateful for that we can hopefully get there safely.
All
All
right.
right.
Let
Thank you
us,
very much for this evening.
yes, let us do namaste together.
Yes, please.
Namaste.
Namaste. Much love and thanks. Thank you.
All
All right.
right.